Tonight on CTV, old doesn't mean broken when it comes to these old-fashioned cars.
ASCSU approved funding for an exciting Halloween event coming soon.
And a whole bunch of news coming out of the world of CSU sports.
This and much more coming up tonight on CTV. Good evening, Rams. I'm Emma Askren.
And I'm Mattison Brumagim. Thank you for joining us tonight. A Loveland resident just became the most wanted man in Larimer County. 42-year-old Tipong Nathan Tongbua is wanted for identity theft, trying to influence an officer, and many other charges built up over the past week. Tongbua is described as standing 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing 195 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. However, in the images provided by the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, he appears to be bald. Anyone with information relating to Tongbua is encouraged to contact the office at 970-416-1985.
A Fort Collins man was arrested after he attempted to sell cocaine at a bar last Friday night. According to police, when police would refuse, the suspect pulled a gun on them. After a fight broke out, officers managed to subdue the suspect. The man, currently unidentified, was charged with felony menacing, unlawful carrying of a concealed weapon, and drug possession. He's currently booked into Larimer County Jail on a $5,000 bond.
This Saturday, Fort Collins Police Services will be hosting an event for the community to safely dispose of unwanted firearms and ammunition. This opportunity will eliminate the risk of theft, misuse, or accidental discharge of firearms. Fort Collins Police Service says people will not be arrested for possession of an illegal firearm if it is surrendered at the event. However, any crime committed while in possession of that firearm will not be pardoned. Serial numbers from the guns will be checked against state databases to ensure that they have not been reported stolen before they are destroyed. The event will take place in the north parking lot of the Police Services building from 10 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon.
The Fort Collins City Council is being sued over the development plan for Sanctuary on the Green, which proposes for 212 housing units north of LaPorte Avenue and west of Taft Hill Road. However, the opponents to this development, a group of neighbors who form the nonprofit Sanctuary Field Neighborhood Network, have spent nearly a decade challenging the 41-acre development proposal. The group claim in court documents that the City Council lacked authority to hear their appeal by exceeding jurisdiction by appointing the hearing officer. The neighbors state that under the city's land use code, the project should have been decided by the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. Spindle states approving a development plan that the vast majority of the community is opposed to, while completely disregarding the Northwest Sub-Area Plan, which was jointly developed with citizens and agreed upon by City Council, is not only unethical, but contradicts the city's promise to the community.
CSU has received a $3 million grant to study bovine mastitis, one of the most common and prominent diseases in the dairy industry. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Institute has awarded this grant to a multi-state team, but this study will be led by CSU's associate professor in the Department of Animal Sciences, Dr. Pablo Panejo. Mastitis is most commonly treated by the use of antibiotics. However, this disease impacts the organic dairy industry more greatly due to antibiotics being prohibited on organic farms. To make this study possible, CSU has partnered with Aurora Organic Dairy to conduct various aspects of research. The study will focus on identifying solutions to control mastitis, improve milk quality, animal welfare, and overall enhance the sustainability of the organic dairy industry.
A regulation brought on by the pandemic is about to become a permanent regulation, but not in the way you think. Outdoor dining spaces, generally placed on the sidewalks outside certain restaurants, are here to stay after the City Council unanimously voted in favor of the establishment extensions. According to city staff, the outdoor seating was popular and successful both economically and as a way to liven up the sidewalks. Now each individual business has the choice to either keep its outdoor options or go back to its traditional ways.
Are you tired of having to remember to adjust your clocks for daylight savings? Well, this could be the last year, Colorado residents have to turn back our clocks during the winter months. Back in June, Governor Jared Polis signed legislation to put into law for daylight savings time when time is advanced by 1 hour in the spring and summer to be year-round. However, this law would be permanently instated only if federal law is enacted to allow states to remain on daylight savings time year-round, and at least 4 states in the Mountain Standard Time, in addition to Colorado, enact legislation making daylight savings a year-round standard. For now, don't forget to set your clock back an hour on Sunday, November 6th. The recent change in daylight savings is joined by falling temperature.
Adam Carlson will join us after the break to give you the rundown and what to expect from the weather for the rest of the week.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard. Especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy.
Ugh, my bad.
Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, a fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Good evening, Rams. My name is Adam Carlson, and I'm here to give you the weather rundown for the rest of the week. Looking at current conditions, we're going to see that it's clear skies tonight with 67 degrees, humidity at 18%. However, we are seeing a fire weather watch. This Monday, Fort Collins saw its first sub-freezing temperatures. As a result, residents on Monday were greeted by frost on the ground. However, throughout the week, temperatures began to heat up, and it seems the ever-so-confusing Colorado weather has graced us with a little bit before the cold winter storms come in. Looking at overnight lows, we're going to see that down the I-25 corridor, it's mid-40s with Denver hitting us with a 50. Eastern Plain, we're seeing mid-high 30s, except Burlington hitting us with a 44. The Mountain Range, we're going to be seeing Craig at 26. Then Telluride 32, Gunnison and Alamosa giving us our lows 21, 23 respectively. And Grand Junction hitting us with 41. Tomorrow's highs, we're going to be seeing down that I-25 corridor, mid to high 70s, Pueblo hitting us 82. In that Eastern Plain, we're going to see high 70s and low 80s. In the mountains, we have Craig at 70. Then the rest, we have Vail and Gunnison, 60, 63 respectively. Our low is 53 in Telluride, Alamos 67, and Grand Junction at 74. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, we're going to be seeing 78 as our high, 45 as our low. General cloudy weather, humidity 23%, wind at 10 miles per hour, and sunset at 6:12. Looking at the 5-day forecast, we're going to start seeing that throughout the week we're going to have a lot of clouds. Monday through Wednesday with clouds, cooling us down slowly into Thursday where we'll get our rain, and Friday finally with that sunny weather. However, don't expect too much. It's still 52 degrees out. And that brings me to the end of tonight's weather for you all. But stick around. Mattison and Emma have more news after this.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Those 9 months were also 273 days of planning. What about your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. And let's not forget those barbecues you plan in detail for your family and your more vegetarian by the day best friends. perfect surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
Old-fashioned American cars are legendary. Whether you appreciate the history or you enjoy seeing them cruise through Old Town, these cars are sure to turn heads. But have you ever wondered what happens to some of these collection items? Well, this past weekend, I took a ride through history.
And now 5, 18.5, and 18.5, now 19, 19,000.
This past Saturday, 325 old-fashioned American cars were put up for auction. The large collection belonged to one Fort Collins Towing Company owner, Ryan Millen. For the past half a century, Millen collected these vehicles with the intention of getting them running, but instead they sat and collected dust. Majority of the cars in the collection were in bad shape, but for some auction goers, that is exactly what they were looking for. Johnny Arowan, an auto body shop owner from Los Angeles, came to the auction with a mission.
I came out here with a car hauler, ready to buy cars, a stack of cash. What brought me out here is the love of old cars, Impalas, bombs. These are called bombs in LA. And actually 1954 and older, it's the lowriding scene that's part of LA, that's part of culture and people out there.
While the collection may have looked like a pile of garbage, Marcy Garrett says she found her treasure.
Oh, this car is my heart. Actually, I had a 70 Mustang. It's actually what my oldest son came home from the hospital in. And my idiot ex-husband decided his drugs were more important, and he forged my name on the title and sold it for drugs. And so for 30 years, I've been looking for just the right little gem and saw this online and said, I gotta try.
Now 15,000, ma'am. At 15,000. Sold it. Sold it.
It sounds cheesy, but a joy explosion. Yeah, I just squealed, and it was just, I don't have good things always happen like that, and so it just felt good. You know, it was just, I think I might have peed a little, and that's okay.
Marcy paid $15,000 for her 1972 Ford Mustang convertible that currently doesn't run, but she ensures it will.
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it, and I'm going to put the work in myself to get her running right, and she'll be a real part of me, not just a car. She's my heart.
4,000. At 4,000. At 4.
My grandpa was a huge fan of old-fashioned cars and going to auctions, so I'm a little bummed I didn't see a 1966 Ford Bronco out of all of those cars. Anyway, in all, this event was one exciting, especially for car enthusiasts from all around.
It seems that CSU is always perceiving some kind of grant or funding for research in many fields. This latest cash ties back to the roots of the university, with $12 million being donated to research sustainable agriculture. The USDA is sponsoring 70 projects around the country from a pool of $2.8 billion, giving $5 to $100 million per project. CSU is involved in some capacity with 9 projects from regenerative ranching economies to climate beneficial fiber. For more information on what projects CSU is working on, you can go to the link below. This generous donation is not only the fund to come out of last week.
Funding for this exciting event is sure to drag its way into the brains of students eager for Halloween.
Beat reporter Kyra McKinley joins us live in the studio with more. Kyra?
Thanks, guys. Last week, ASCSU spent the first of its funding. The organization approved a $9,000 fund that will go towards the Dragula Halloween Bash. We'll now hear from a member of ASCSU who helped pass this funding and the co-presidents of the House of Ovis who are running the show.
So what we decided to do, the organizers, myself, and the SDPS senators, specifically the senators for the Pride Resource Center, they wrote a bill to get most of the funds from Senate to be able to be used to pay for this event. It's not normally how it goes. There's a special committee that and budget that student orgs can apply for and get funding for, but in these first 2 months of the semester, that committee is getting put together as well. So it was kind of this tight spot where it's like, all right, it's a Halloween batch, it's the end of October, we really don't have time, and we need to be able to make this happen.
Now that the drag show has received its funding, we'll hear from more details on the event from the co-presidents of House of Ovis.
Yeah, so we have a full show right now with performers from Northern Colorado, as well as your fellow Ramsden drag. So like there will be CSU students that will be performing. And if you want to go to it, it's in the LSE ballroom upstairs from 5 to 9.
5 to 9.
And the first hour is just like a mixer. You come in your costume, you know, like you have some catering provided by CSU Zero Waste. And then the drag show starts. It's $2 for students, $5 for community members. And we have a little costume competition. So you come in your homemade, sustainable Halloween costumes. And yeah, it's going to be a good time.
You can find more information on this drag show at CSU Drag House of Ovis on Instagram. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kyra. Even though Halloween hasn't even arrived yet, Fort Collins is already preparing for this holiday season.
That's right, Emma. The turning on of the Old Town lights is an annual tradition that lets Fort Collins residents know it's the holiday season. The lights will be turned on in a ceremony that many have come to watch in the past years. On November 4th at 5:30 in the evening, people will begin gathering in Old Town to watch as lights are flipped on in an hour. Once the lights are turned on, they will stay on until Valentine's Day in February of next year. And that brings us to the end of our news for you all tonight.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't just turn away yet, though.
Leah Cackowski will be out after the break to slide into news on all your favorite CSU sports, including soccer, volleyball, football, and hockey.
All this on CTV.
Do you remember our first group photo? This is it. Smiles all around, even though we were all nervous.
Who could have imagined that our first weekend together would soon turn into a lifetime of memories?
You're an amazing young man. Your brothers and sisters really look up to you. They're a big brother.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child who was 17 at the time.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
I ain't never felt so much love before in my life.
How's it going, Rams? I'm Leah Cackowski, and welcome back to another week here on CAC's Closeout. For this evening, I've got so much for you, starting with, of course, score updates on both Rams soccer and volleyball. Plus, I'll jump right back into the world of college football as Colorado State searches for its first home win of the season against Hawaii. And finally, I'll conclude by discussing CSU hockey and their most recent wins. All of that and more on CAC's Closeout, which starts right now. We'll kick things off, as we always do, with the team on the pitch. Earlier today, the Green and Gold hosted San Jose State in what should have been a highly contested match. The Spartans came into this one with 4 Mountain West victories,
well more than CSU's mere single. But let's see if the Rams were able to change that fortune in a positive way. Unfortunately, SJSU took the dub, a final score of 1-0. It was a close one throughout, tight until literally the last minute of play. San Jose State midfielder Sabrina Weinman scored in the 89th minute of the game, handing the Rams the heartbreaking loss. Looking back, the true setback for the Rams has been their number of draws, being the most in the entire conference. It's not that CSU has been bad per se, losses have been rather minimal. It's just that the win column is virtually empty. Hopefully, the Rams can figure it out soon though, as only 2 games remain on the regular season. And like most Thursdays, volleyball is also in action, dueling the Broncos over in Moby Arena. Opening serve happened just under a half an hour ago, so let's see how it's currently playing out. The first set is currently in progress and the Rams are actually behind, with BSU leading 13-12. Some notable players for the Rams are Malaya Jones and Kennedy Stanford, as they both have 3 kills. Sierra Pritchard killing it as always with her 7 assists as well. Hopefully, by the end, the Rams could take the dub at the annual Pink Out Night. Boise State is a solid group, and a win would definitely boost some morale and momentum heading into the later part of the month. That said, it's still pretty early, so we'll just have to wait and see. And now we scramble back to football. As you heard from Mike on Tuesday, though last week's homecoming loss to Utah State was encouraging, it still stung a little. However, if the Rams truly want to bounce back, this would be their shot against a similar but worse 2-5 Hawaii team. Like CSU, Hawaii has had their fair share of unfortunate blowout games as well, losing to both ends of the college football spectrum in Vanderbilt and Michigan by over 8 touchdowns. Talk about an embarrassing outing. But like Colorado State, the Rainbow Warriors were able to compete against Nevada, taking the W 31-16. That said, Hawaii has yet to have a road win. Nonetheless, let's see what's bringing success in Honolulu. The man in charge is sophomore QB Braden Shager, one of the few freshmen nationally to start a regular season game in 2021, and has done relatively well in year 2, with just over 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns thrown. His go-to threats on the outside are Zion Bowens and Jalen Walthall, who each have almost 200 yards receiving in 7 games in. While I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot, it's because the offense actually relies on the running game, and it comes from one senior. Dedrick Parson is Hawaii's leading rusher, racking up nearly 500 yards on the ground so far. Not to mention he averages about 67 per game, more than anyone CSU's got. You can also add a whopping 10 touchdowns, as Parson accounts for over 60% of Hawaii's total TDs. Either way, if the Green and Gold want to compete, they must step it up defensively. And the way the Rams played on that side of the ball lately, I really think this Saturday will be a good day to be a Ram. And to close, let's break the ice with some Colorado State hockey. The Rams prepare for their first road appearance of the year, traveling to Omaha to face Midland University. But before that, I have to mention their absolute dominant performance against San Diego State last week. In 2 games, CSU netted a total of 19 goals for a pair of blowout victories over the Aztecs. Wow, illustrating even more just how exciting this Rams offense attack can be. The sweep now improves the Rams' record to 5-3 on the young season. And more specifically, we see the scores here. The Green and Gold took the first contest easily 9-3. And if you didn't think that was impressive enough, try a 10-0 win on Saturday. That's a blowout in baseball, much less hockey. If only soccer could do that. Anyway, these results extend CSU's win streak to 4. A nice tally ride heading into the road. With the Rams only having home appearances so far, I'm hoping they can reciprocate that same energy and firepower outside Epic. Because if they can, it can get ugly in their trip to Nebraska upcoming, and here's why. The Midland Warriors currently sit at 0-4. Though the series against Central Oklahoma was relatively close, the school responsible for 2 of CSU's 3 losses, mind you, they got completely obliterated by Minute State. They now return home for the first time, welcoming CSU. And I'm sure Midland will be anxiously awaiting as the Warriors seek their first win of the season. And with that, Rams, that's all the sports action I have for you tonight here on CAC's Closeout. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday for yet another edition of our sports show. You may see a familiar face. Stay safe, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then.